In the grand sprawling city of Perfecta, there lived an emperor, a magnificent ginger cat named Leo. Now Emperor Leo wasn't a bad cat, not really, he was just exceptionally fond of clothes. He had robes of spun moonlight, vests of woven dandelion fluff, and tiny little boots made from the finest beetle wings. His closets were overflowing, yet every morning he would stare at his collection and sigh, "I have nothing to wear." His subjects, the hard-working cats of the city, were facing a tough winter. The fish in the river were scarce, and the mice had all hidden away. They pleaded, "Your Majesty, our kittens are hungry. Could you use some of the royal treasury to buy more fish?" But Leo was too busy. He was admiring a new hat adorned with a peacock feather. He'd wave a paw dismissively and say, "Yes, yes, of course. But first, look at this exquisite silk." A new robe is essential for national morale, you see. One day, two sly foxes, a slick red one named Finn and a cunning silver one named Silas, trotted into the city. They had heard tales of the emperor's obsession with fashion and saw an opportunity. They went to the palace and announced themselves as the most extraordinary tailors in the entire animal kingdom. "Your Majesty," Finn said with a low bow, "we can weave a fabric so magnificent, so unique that it has a magical property." Leo's ears perked up. "Magical? Do tell." Silas stepped forward, his voice a low whisper. "This fabric is invisible to any cat who is unfit for their position or who is unusually foolish." Leo's eyes widened. This was perfect. Not only would he get a stunning new outfit, but he could also find out which of his ministers were incompetent. Incredible. He purred, "You are hired. Spare no expense. I want a full royal procession outfit made from this magical cloth." The foxes were given a grand room in the palace, a pile of gold coins, and two large, empty looms. They immediately set to work, or so it seemed. They made a great show of threading invisible needles and weaving on the empty looms, clicking their tongues and muttering about the intricate patterns. They would ask for the finest, most expensive threads, which they would promptly stash away in their bags. Curiosity got the better of Emperor Leo. He sent his most trusted minister, an old wise Persian cat named Patches, to check on their progress. Patches entered the room and saw the two foxes working feverishly at empty looms. He blinked. He saw nothing. A cold dread filled him. Could it be? Was he unfit for his position? Was he a fool? He couldn't let the emperor know. "Oh, it's magnificent," Patches stammered, squinting at the empty air. "The colors are divine. The pattern is simply breathtaking." The foxes smiled slyly, "Isn't it? Tell the emperor it will be ready soon." Patches rushed back to Leo, praising the invisible fabric with all his might. Relieved, Leo sent another official, a sharp-eyed Siamese named Duke. Duke saw the same thing, nothing, but he had heard what Patches had said. He wasn't about to look like a fool either. "Absolutely stunning," he declared. "A true work of art." Soon, the whole city was buzzing about the magical clothes. Everyone claimed to have heard how beautiful they were, even though no one had seen them. Finally, the day of the great procession arrived. Finn and Silas entered the emperor's chamber, carrying their arms as if holding a magnificent outfit. "Your Majesty," Finn announced, "your new clothes are ready." They pretended to dress Leo, oohing and eyeing. "Feel the lightness of the trousers. Observe the elegant drape of the robe." Leo stood in front of the mirror in his undergarments, feeling a bit chilly. He saw nothing, absolutely nothing. Panic seized him. Was he the emperor? A fool? Unfit to rule? Impossible. He couldn't let anyone know. He had to play along. "Oh, it's splendid," he declared, turning this way and that. "It feels as light as air. Truly the finest outfit I have ever owned." Let the procession begin. So Emperor Leo marched out of the palace. His royal guards held up the non-existent train of his robe. The ministers walked behind him, their heads held high, pretending to admire the invisible masterpiece. The streets were lined with cats of all shapes and sizes. When the emperor appeared, a hush fell over the crowd. Every cat knew the story of the magic cloth. No one wanted to be seen as a fool. So they all started cheering. "What a beautiful robe," shouted a tabby. "Look at the detail on those trousers," cried a calico. They all praised the clothes they couldn't see. Emperor Leo swelled with pride. He strutted and preened, feeling more regal than ever, despite the slight draft. The procession moved through the main square, a wave of fake applause following him. But then, a tiny kitten, too young and too innocent to understand the pretense, was perched on his mother's shoulders. He blinked his big, honest eyes and pointed a small paw. In a voice that carried through a sudden lull in the cheering, he squeaked, "But mommy, the emperor isn't wearing any clothes." A ripple of whispers went through the crowd. "Did you hear that? The kitten said he's not wearing anything." A small mouse, emboldened by the kitten, piped up, "He's right. He's in his long johns." Suddenly the spell was broken. One cat started to giggle, then another and another. Soon the entire city of Perfecta was roaring with laughter. Not cruel laughter, but the kind of laughter that comes from shared absurd relief. Emperor Leo froze. The truth hit him like a bucket of cold water. He was walking through his city, in front of all his subjects, in his underwear. A deep flush of embarrassment crept up his furry neck. He knew the kitten was right, he knew they were all right, but he was still the emperor. With as much dignity as he could muster, he held his head high, squared his shoulders, and continued the procession, walking even more proudly than before, all the way back to the palace as his subjects howled with laughter. That night, alone in his chambers, Leo looked at his reflection. He saw not an emperor, but a very silly cat. The laughter still echoed in his ears, a humbling sound. For the first time he thought not about his clothes, but about his people. They were cold and hungry, and he had been spending their money on invisible fabric. The next morning, a different emperor emerged from the palace. He wore a simple, comfortable tunic. He ordered the royal treasury to be opened, not for new clothes, but to buy fish and grain for everyone in the city. He sold his extravagant outfits and used the gold to repair homes and build a school for the kittens. He even went out and helped the fishermen himself. The two fox tricksters had, of course, vanished with their bags of gold, never to be seen again. But in a strange way, they had given Emperor Leo the most valuable gift of all, a lesson in humility. He learned that being a true leader wasn't about having the finest robes, but about having the biggest heart and taking care of his people. And from that day on, Emperor Leo was loved not for his clothes, but for his kindness. Thank you so much for watching and for all your amazing support. It means the world to me. What classic story would you like to see us tell next? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more tailies. See you next time.